Hi, it's Carol. Okay, so I'm wearing my pajamas. It's late night, and I realized that I promised you videos, so I wanted to follow through with that promise, as broken promises are not cool. Although I think with my kids, I didn't promise. So that's also not cool. You gotta make promises and follow through. So I've been struggling, kind of throwing a temper tantrum a grown-up temper tantrum, which, is really kind of all in my head. And the reason is because, hey, Tuesday, the reason is because I need to come to acceptance. Hey, cousin, I need to come to acceptance about something that I haven't wanted to. I really have been throwing a temper tantrum. So I am throwing an event in October. Now, there's a lot of things I'm involved with before that time. And I'm really, really, really excited about this event. In fact, I think this event is going to be huge because we're going to talk about the connection between trauma and chronic pain, both emotional and physical. But this is going to be out of the box. It is going to be a retreat like no other. And the reason is because we're going to do the most interesting things to get to the cells of our body for healing. And you know what? As a therapist, I know I can't get to the primal part of the brain that easy. Now I'm trained in EMDR and other modalities that help me to do that. But this is really going to be out of the box. And the scary thing, and this is what I've been throwing a tantrum about, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my life story. And nobody but my therapist knows that story. And I haven't talked to her in many, many years. It's time to let it go. And I'm writing a book. I'm writing 6 books. I mean, of course, that's perfectly normal, especially with a concussion. And I'm actually naming it emotional concussion. And it is about my life story. And my life story is trauma, which is why I have a company called the Trauma and Healing Foundation. However, I didn't purposely do that. I don't really know how that happened. It just happened. So, I've got 10 years of transformational training. And I now realize that the legacy of my family in transformational work goes back generations. And I didn't know that until just recently. And trauma goes back in my family as well. And it goes back in a lot of families. I was just reading about I was talking about the eggs in the womb. So when you're born with all your eggs as a woman. And then I guess it is, if your grandmother is pregnant, then the egg that she's carrying is you in her womb. Well, what if your grandmother had gone through trauma in her life? Maybe she didn't call it that because old school doesn't call it that. But what if she'd gone through trauma in her life? Then when those cells get together, they're at a hyper-aroused state. And how can you not be born with some sort of hyper-stimulated kind of response to things? You get triggered, you get angry, you get anxious, you get upset. So this retreat is going to be a 2-day retreat. It's going to be in nature. And I believe all of us like some form of nature. And there's going to be what we call somatic experiences. And I know that sounds all big and stuff, but really all it means is that we're going to get to the body. We're going to get to the places that in your body that you are holding in the trauma. And I'm very excited about this. It's going to be in October. It is still in the planning stages. I need a huge team. I really believe when I tell my story that people will be triggered. And I'm going to need people to step up and just sit with them and just not even need to say anything, but be there unless they're ready to share their own. Hi, Heather. Thank you for praying for me. So I'm going to tell my story. And the truth shall set you free. That's what they say. And so I have held this back. I spent 20 years in therapy, a long time working through this stuff. And then I sought every means of healing that I could. And I realized that my mother had done that and my grandfather had done that. And I come from a legacy of not stopping until we find something. And sometimes that something is healthy and sometimes that something isn't healthy. But at least we're seeking. And I've been seeking all my life. And I'm ready to tell you why I've been seeking. Because I've been looking for healing. And that is why I'm a therapist. It's because I went through stuff. And I wanted to be sure that I could support people going through stuff. So now as a transformational coach, I get to do more. I get to be more places. I can take that around the world. And I can help you to unmask those areas in your life that aren't working for you. But first, well, not first, but I am also going to tell my story. And I'm preparing for that as I'm writing 5 other books. I'm in a creative phase. It's a crazy creative phase, and I'm taking advantage of that. I get to go to Kauai soon. Super excited about that, to be with a bunch of my therapist friends and hopefully a lot of new friends. And I'm blessed. I'm just blessed that I am ready to let go of these secrets. There's really nothing else left. And whatever judgment I get, I'm okay with it. Humans judge. We can't stop that. So just think about what I'm talking about. Have you been through trauma? Do you call it trauma? Or just go, it was just something. But it did traumatize your body. It did get to the cells of your body. And I want to be a part of that healing for you. And we're going to do some friggin' awesome work at this retreat. And in the meantime, I'm going to be traveling around the world talking at conventions and helping people to understand the toxic shame that has kept them in a cycle of toxic shame. And I understand this stuff to the core of my being because I've been training a lifetime for this. Anyway, have a good evening, sleep well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.